Okay, so I have a topic for this video is going to be on Asperger syndrome, miscommunication, and bicycles. And I'll tell you what they all have to do with each other in a minute. Okay, so here's my bicycle that I ride to work because I am terrible at driving, so I have to have a bicycle. One thing that people with Asperger struggle with is miscommunication. One thing that people with Asperger struggle with is miscommunication. When we're talking to somebody, often without eye contact, because that's how people with Asperger's talk, with little or no eye contact. When we do talk to people, we often include irrelevant information, but we find like we think it might be an interesting part of the conversation. But sometimes we often leave out all the important details. And so what happens is the people we're talking to, assuming they're listening, will fill in those missing gaps of information with false assumptions. And this happens a lot. So, and that's what's frustrating. It would be a good idea to try to think of everything you want to say. That's where the miscommunication happens. And sometimes we think that other people are the ones with the communication disorder because they're the ones that are not understanding us correctly. And so, what does this have to do with bicycles? Well, that's just an example that I want to get to. Like, if I were to tell somebody that I ride my bike to work every day, they will assume I'm talking about a motorcycle because I'm an adult, and adults ride motorcycles. That's just gonna be the assumption. And so they might ask me, what kind of fuel do I use, or is it very loud? And so that's why I tell people bicycle, because I don't ride a motorcycle. And some people just assume, I don't know why, so many people assume that bicycles are only ridden by kids. And so just because something is usual, they think it's all the time. And that's a fallacy that people outside the spectrum often have. They assume that the usual is the norm, and so whenever there's an exception to the norm, we need to point that out to people. See, because adults ride bicycles too. It's like they never heard of Lance Armstrong, and so yeah, I think I remember on a forum I said several years ago a mean dog was chasing me on a bicycle, and I did say bicycle that time, but the words several years ago translates in their head as when I was a kid, because they assumed falsely that bicycles are only ridden by kids. I should have said, maybe. See, I don't know why I would have to point out that as an adult riding a bicycle. Anyway, because adults ride bicycles too. Anyway, that's just kind of frustrating. Just a point that I wanted to make. Okay. Speaking of mean dogs, yeah, there's mean dogs that don't like bicycles for some reason. I don't know. I think that cyclophobic dogs, this is gonna sound mean, so should have their eyeballs removed, seriously, so that when they bump into a fence, then they'll know where their territory ends. Okay, that was so mean. I know. I don't advocate to gouging out eyeballs of dogs, but anyway, back on topic. Anyway, so what I meant by that, so we don't have any miscommunication, yeah, is that I'm joking about what I want to do to mean dogs. Anyway, we'll stop here.